Welcome back to the Takeout. New news in the Middle East. The U.S. just began a third night of airstrikes on Iran. Central Command made the announcement on X moments ago, saying the United States strikes will degrade Iran's ability to attack innocent civilians and commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Earlier today, President Trump said the United States is reinstating a naval blockade in the Strait on Iranian vessels, or ones headed there in the Strait of Hormuz. He said the U.S. will also act as a so-called guardian, that's the word he used, and will charge shipping companies 20% for their safety and security. Now, previously, the White House said the Strait would remain open and there would be no tolls from Iran or from the U.S. What it's worth, Iran insists it controls this critical waterway. The dispute triggered yet another round. Well, we just talked about that, of aerial assaults, which just began. I want to bring in our guest now, Joe Cirincione. He's a national security analyst. He's also vice chair of the board of directors at the Center for International Policy. Joe, it's good to have you with us. A lot's going on in this space.
Thank you, Major.
And I'd like you to get your analysis of what's happening and this conflict over the Strait and whether the United States can be its guardian and who it's going to charge tolls to.
Mm-hmm. Well, the fighting has flared up again, basically because after President Trump lost this war and sent Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff to negotiate a very tricky memorandum of understanding to end the war and to open up the Strait again, it's very clear that they botched the job. That paragraph 5 of this MOU gives Iran clear authority over the Strait, that Iran is charged with opening up the Strait and that any passage through the Strait has to be coordinated with Iran. I don't know if they intended to do that, but that's what the MOU says. About 3 weeks ago, President Trump just seems to have decided that he wanted to open up another channel through the Strait of Hormuz, one that hugged the coast of Oman, the state on the other side from Iran and on the Strait. And the Iranians objected. They said that was a violation, that all shipping had to go through their authority. And the Iranians opened fire on tankers. The United States then fired back at the Iranians. The Iranians then launched missile and drone attacks on U.S. bases. And here we are at an escalation. These are serious exchanges. The U.S. Central Command is hitting about 100, 150 targets per wave of assault. The Iranians seem to be attacking U.S. bases with significant success. There appears to be some serious damage to U.S. bases. It's unclear where this goes. And the president seems to be honestly floundering. If bombing was going to work with Iran, it would have worked before. There doesn't seem to be a coherent strategic plan for how this bombing is going to affect Iranian behavior.
And Joe, I want to read to you something from the Iranian foreign minister. He posted on X today, quote,
yes.
We can bring that up, control room. POTUS is absolutely right. Whoever provides secure and safe passage of commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz should be compensated for this service. Iran has always been the guardian of the Strait and will remain so forever. Importantly, it adds, 20% is, of course, too much. We will be fair. That's a little bit of shade that the Iranian foreign minister is throwing at the president of the United States.
Yeah, the Iranians have been excellent at trolling the president. So, of course, President Trump went on Fox News this morning and said that the U.S. would open the Strait. Well, that's a dubious military proposition. If we were capable of opening the Strait, we would have done it already, and that he would therefore then start charging for those services of 20% fee on each shipment. Well, that did three things. One, it overturned what Secretary of State Rubio and Vice President Vance had been saying correctly, that international law requires that no nation is allowed to charge and that all nations are allowed free and unhindered passage through international waterways. It also violates international law. The Law of the Sea Treaty does exactly that. But here's the third point, and this is what Arachi's picking up on. It validates and sort of authorizes the Iranian position, because what Arachi's saying there is, yes, we control the straits. We will allow passage. You know, we should get a fee for that. It won't be 20%. But Arachi's both mocking Trump and reestablishing the Iranian red line. That's what this fighting right now is all about. It could die down in a couple of weeks. As I say, there is no winning hand here. I don't think the military pressure is going to force Iran to capitulate, or it could escalate. escalate if either side hits, may perhaps unintentionally, something that the other side considers vital. For example, the Central Command struck Karak Island, the chief oil terminal for the Iranians. If they can do serious damage there, you could see Iran decide to escalate, and this thing could just spiral out of control.
Joe Cirincione, I appreciate the time, sir, very much. Thank you.
Thank you.